Inside the historic Palestra in Philadelphia, this is NCAA Gymnastics. Today, it's the Penn Quakers and the New Hampshire Wildcats. And welcome inside, everybody, alongside Christina Chauvenet. I'm Andrew Luftglass. Penn and New Hampshire, a couple very evenly matched teams, breaking records all year and trying to peak in time for conference meets in the next couple of weeks. Christina, let's start with New Hampshire coming off very nearly a program record-setting meet their last time out. It was a season high, posting above a 196. What do you like so far? What's the key to the meet today for New Hampshire?
Well, you know, New Hampshire had a pretty rough start to the season, and to see them come out mid-196, 196.55, their fourth highest in program history, really exciting. Beam has been a pain point for them this season. They really nailed it at the last meet, so they're going to have to end there tonight. That's going to be the key to the meet for them.
And for Penn, they're trying to defend their GEC crown from a year ago. They just finished second at the Ivy Classic over the weekend. What's the key for them today and as they try to peak in time for GEC?
Yeah, you know, Ivy Classic, I think, kind of bittersweet for them. They had a really nice meet. They were coming in as the favorites, and so finished second there, but still got a really solid high 194 score. They are really set on defending their GEC title, so it's really just them picking up tenths across the four events today.
It was the Quakers' highest ever score at the Ivy Classic. They have two of their top 5 all-time scores this year. We'll see what they've got coming up next. It's Penn and New Hampshire from the Palestra in Philadelphia.
And we can also talk about regionals. Both these teams are, like, unlikely.
5 seconds. Oh, no, you're good. I know it's hard. And welcome back inside the Palestra. Again, this is NCAA Gymnastics. Andrew Luftglass alongside Christina Chauvenet as Penn hosts the University of New Hampshire. First rotation about to get underway. Penn will be on the vault and New Hampshire on the bars. Christina, let's start off talking about the Wildcats on bars. They're coming off of their second best score of the season on this apparatus, 49-1 on Sunday, led by Kylie Gorgani. She had the event title in 9.925.
Yeah, Kylie Gorgani, such a pretty bar worker. You know, she really utilizes her power on bars, has a huge dismount, and we're really going to look for that clean handstand work that they showed last week to get that 196.55.
She has a career high on this event this year, 9.95 on February 5th, and again a 9.925 on Sunday. You like Kennedy Brown on the bars as well for UNH.
Yeah, Kennedy Brown has a Hortina release move that really unusual single bar release work in NCAA. Of course, we're used to seeing those Tkachev, Jaeger combinations, but I just love her work, and she's a very artistic gymnast.
UNH on the bars, a quick rundown of their lineup. It's Summer Simpkins, Leah Moreno, Kennedy Brown, then Alyssa Bollier, who's the only one competing in the all-around for either team today, then JC Whitehead and Kylie Gorgani to anchor. For Penn on vault, this was their best event at the Ivy Classic, just shy of a 49. They had 4 scores at a 9.8 or better, and we're going to watch Campbell Marr in the 5 spot in this lineup with a full-on tuck off today.
Yeah, really exciting for her. It's a vault that she learned during COVID. Remember, the Ivy canceled the season in 2021, so that was a challenge for a lot of these teams, the Ivy League teams, to kind of keep that momentum going. And, you know, really exciting to see. You know, when we talked to Coach Kirsten Becker before the meet, she said that Campbell was really excited about learning this new vault. Just, I love the ambition of using that time, which was a challenging time, to then upgrade a vault. That being said, the tuck-off version was downgraded from last season, was a 10, now it's a 9.95.
And she learned that vault with Ariana Agarwala, who will also compete that, learned that her freshman year as a result of an injury, and the two of them share a program vault record, 9.9, the program vault record shared by Campbell Marr and Ariana Agarwala. Marr tying that program best record at Temple just a few meets ago. Take a look at the Penn Fatheads in the stands of the Palestra today. Last home meet for the Quakers. Their vault lineup today for Penn will be Rose DeBarberi, Ariana Agarwala. Skylar Kuriko returns to the lineup today, coming back from an injury. Marissa Lassiter in the 4 spot, then Campbell Marr and Kirsten Belkoff. Looks like we're about ready to get underway. Rose DeBarberi, the vault captain for Penn, will lead things off for the Quakers. And we're expecting her to compete a Yurchenko layout full, coming off of a 9-8 in the Ivy Classic this past weekend.
And remember, those Yurchenko fulls valued out of a 9.95. We may see a 10-0 vault tonight, but most of the vaults that we're going to be seeing are in that 9.95 range.
So DeBarberi getting set to go. Long road for the junior, injured as a freshman. Her sophomore season interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, took a year off to preserve her eligibility. And so last year really was her first year, or first full year at least, on the competition floor. And has been voted the vault captain this year, leading things off for the Quakers.
And Olivia Van Horn, somebody who we've also seen in the Penn lineup. We're not going to see her tonight. She is capable of doing the front pike half. But when we talked to coaching staff, said, you know, they're just trying to get her more confident in that, in the landing. So tricky, that front pike half. So, but when she has done it a couple times really well this season, so we'll watch for that later in the season.
We may see her exhibition today. She's listed as a possible exhibition. Here is Rose DeBarberi.
Just a little bounce in place, but gets them off to a really nice start there with that Yurchenko full. On vault, what we're going to be looking for is, of course, the landing, but also the dynamics. So the height that they get and the distance that they get from the table, that's really going to differentiate. We're going to be seeing a lot of Yurchenko fulls tonight. That's going to differentiate the good from the great.
Now onto the bars for UNH. Summer Simpkins to lead things off for the Wildcats.
Starts off with this Maloney. Nice job there, keeps her legs together. Oh, almost goes over on that handstand. Great core strength she's showing there. Nice handstand on the low bar as well. Shy on the last handstand. Nice landing, good fight through that routine because she almost arched over on the handstand. A couple other minor form breaks, but good start for New Hampshire.
And a tough dismount for her too. She does a double salto tucked with the full twist. That's an E skill. What did you think of the dismount?
Yeah, really nice. Good to see some of those E-level dismounts. Those E skills do get 2/10 of bonus. So remember, the gymnasts start from a core 9 4-star value if they do all the required elements, which they all do. They have to build their difficulty up through getting those that bonus.
Ariana Agarwala in the 2 spot for Penn. Another of those full-on tuck-offs. She'll do one, as will Campbell Marr.
And just chest forward a bit on that landing. Little deep cut for gymnastics fans. That though it is known as the full on, technically in the code of points, it is a 3/4 to full on. So as long as you get rotated around at least 3/4, you do not get a deduction for that rotation. And I think she got that about 3/4 of the way around.
We've got our first score in, by the way. Rose DeBarberi in the leadoff for Penn on vault, 9-7-7-5. Leah Moreno will go for UNH in the 2 spot on bars.
And similar composition to what we saw from Simpkins, that Maloney bail to handstand, very popular in college gymnastics. Because as I mentioned, you know, there's effectively 2 ways to build difficulty. One is by doing more difficult elements that are required. Those D elements get 1/10 of bonus, E get 2/10. Another way is by connecting elements. So that Maloney connect immediately to bail to handstand is a popular way to garner bonus in NCAA gymnastics.
Waiting on Moreno to get started. That's a look at Skylar Curico on vault for Penn. She'll go next, and the Quakers very happy to have her back in the lineup. Coming back from an ankle roll, hasn't competed since the end of January, so we'll see her shortly. But here is Leah Moreno. have a 9.825 on this event. Is a career high, of course, for the freshman.
Pretty first handstand. Leg separation in that Maloney. And she's doing one of the combinations, full turn into double back. Step on the landing, but I like that she completed that full turn pretty vertical. Couple of form breaks throughout that routine, but again, nice solid bar routine for New Hampshire.
So 2 spots through for both teams. Looks like Summer Simpkins' score is in for UNH in the number 1 spot. She throws a 9.75. And here's Skylar Kuriko.
Nice body position in the air, maybe a little pike down at the end, has to take that step back. When I say pike down, what I mean is that when these athletes are doing the full twisting Yurchenkos in the laid out position, we want to see a straight line in their body, and sometimes athletes have to pike at their hips, bend at their hips to get that around, but had a nice block off the table, got good height.
Yeah, when you think about somebody coming back from an ankle roll, what's the most challenging aspect of coming back on vault?
Gosh, you know, the landing is a really challenging part of it. I mean, of course, it's all hard. That's one of the hardest events on your ankles, but taking those hard landings are certainly. So she might have been a little bit conservative coming in there with that big step back.
Kennedy Brown up now for UNH on the bars. Really fun routine. You talked about the Gorkina, and she has no E-skills in this routine, but you mentioned the bonus before. She racks up a ton on connections.
Yeah, she's really pretty to watch on bars. I love when we just see variety in lineups, when we see different elements. And she's just a really artistic athlete on other events as well. We'll see her on floor. Always a fun routine. And I have to say, I always love the New Hampshire Leo game. I mean, this is a lovely leotard.
Look at the Penn Leos as well. Very intricate.
Yeah, I really enjoy that Leo.
Here's Kennedy Brown, senior with a career high on this event of 9.875.
And shy on her opening handstands, but rocked that bail to handstand. And here's where she does the Horkina, sets up for it here. So cool. Shy on that handstand in the pirouette, but nails that landing. Of course, the Horkina release move named after Olympic bar champion Svetlana Horkina, arguably the best bar worker of all time. Aliyah Mustafina fans, please don't at me, but certainly one of the greatest bar workers of all time.
No making enemies in Philadelphia today. You got lots of opportunities, a 2-meet day for you. You and the judges had to rush over from Temple as we get a look at Marissa Lassiter.
And that's the dynamics that I was talking about. Getting that distance, she finished that vault so far away from the table. She twists a little bit early off the table. There's a moniker in gymnastics, flip then twist. And that's really what we want to see. She twisted a little early, but I love how far she got. Really powerful athlete.
Marissa Lassiter, talking with head coach Kirsten Becker, thinks she is the future of this program on vault. She's had a pretty good year on this event. Potential future all-arounder as well. She'll compete 3 events, or has competed 3 events so far this year. Got some scores in, by the way. We've got 3 scores in on vault for Penn. Rose D. Barbarian, 9.775. Ditto for Skylar Kuriko in her return to the lineup. Ariana Agarwala leads the pack with a 9.8. And 2 scores in on the bars for UNH, led by Leah Moreno at 9.8. Then Summer Simpkins at 9.75. And here's Alyssa Bollier.
Oh, gosh. Just, you know, I thought that in the air it looked really pretty. And her hands were in a position to catch, but maybe her grip was in an awkward position, or she might have been just a bit too far away from the bar.
She is the lone all-arounder in competition today. How do you mentally come back from, as an all-arounder, starting your first event like that?
Yeah, you know, it is challenging. I think all of the all-arounders will say, you know, you kind of just have to reset, new event, new challenge, but it's important for her to finish strong because a lot of lineup left. Just a step on that landing. She's not going to be happy with that one, but hopefully New Hampshire can reset.
And they'll hope not to count that fall from Bollier. Let's see what they get from J.C. Whitehead and Kylie Gorgani in the 5-6 spots. This is Campbell Marr in the number 5 spot for Penn on vault. Full on tuck off. We talked about it before. A new vault that she learned. She set the program record of 9-9 with this.
Not going to get 9-9, just that bounce back, but I liked her chest position on landing, really. That's another really key piece of the landing. We often focus on foot movement, but also having an upright chest position, really important.
On the first rotation for Penn, here's another look at that vault.
So let's see, yeah, she gets just over 3/4 of the way around, but takes that sizable hop back, and so that's going to be, that'll be a 10th or 2.
4 scores in for Penn on vault. The latest, Marissa Lassiter getting a 9.725. Ariana Agarwala's 9.8 still leads the pack. And Kennedy Brown getting a 9.85 on bars for UNH. So they've got 2 9.8 plus scores so far. Brown at 9.85, Moreno at 9.8.
And Lindsey Bruck-Ayotte there, the head coach in New Hampshire. Fun fact, she was a former gymnast at Michigan, part of that early 2000s Michigan squad that really made a name for Michigan. She still plays around on bars. Told us she did a double front, folks, off bars the other day. So she still got it.
Yeah, still working in the gym. That's impressive.
Yeah, just call her Oksana Shutsovigna. That's what I say. She was such a great gymnast. And really cool. She just says she likes to have fun in the gym, and I think that's so great.
As an athlete, that must impress you so much to watch your coach doing. That motivates you, I'm
sure. Oh, 100%. And these athletes know what she did at Michigan. Look at where the Michigan program is today, and those building blocks were really in the early 2000s when Lindsey was there.
So here's the senior J.C. Whitehead in the 5 spot on bars for UNH.
Nice Ginger, had some leg separation on her catch, though. Little shy on that last handstand. And, you know, just, again, there were a couple of leg separations throughout, but she did her job because that is a big job. Reset the tone, hit routine, really important for New Hampshire.
And really got big air for that twist on the dismount. All right, so in the anchor spot now for Penn, Kirsten Belkoff.
Wow, that's a stick right there. That is, she really nailed that one. Nice height off the table. That Yurchenko half starts at a 9.95 as well.
You can see why she's scoring with this huge layout half Yurchenko.
Yeah, let's take a look. Nice legs together in flight. It's going to be really interesting to see what the judges do with that one because not a lot to take there.
We do have 5 scores
and
in.
I see a 9-9 being turned from one judge. Can't quite see the other judge, but I probably would have gone 9-9 for that vault.
We'll get the official score in just a moment. Other 5 scores in for Penn, led by Ariana Argawala's 9.8. Rose DiBarberi a 9.775, same score for Skylar Kuriko, a 9.725 from Marissa Lassiter, and 9.7 from Campbell Marr. This is Kylie Gorgani to wrap up the bar lineup for UNH.
And as you mentioned, school record holder on bars. Nice bail handstand, Maloney bail handstand combo. The toe shoot, I love that. I love it when folks do something besides the squat on. Look how she floats this dismount. She's gonna take it into the rafters. Little hop on landing, but that technique is textbook.
Gets a ton of bonus in the middle of that routine. The Maloney to overshoot handstand and the toe catch on the high bar, and then a big E-skill dismount as well. Great way for UNH to wrap up. And they're not going to have to count that fall.
Yeah.
Here's another look.
And gearing up for this dismount. Look how high she is above the bar. Oh, and moving back to live action here.
Alicia Werlin exhibitioning for Penn.
Had some shape issues in the air with that full twisting Yurchenko. And again, by shape issues, what I mean is she was piked in the hips throughout that twist. But still, another really solid vault. The trajectory of this Penn program, I have to commend them. They have so many of these 9.95 vaults. You see what I mean there. So just needs to work on getting a more rise off the table to get that twist in the more laid out position.
Gia Graver is going to exhibition on bars for UNH. Quick score update, by the way. Kirsten Belkoff, 9.875 on vault in the anchor spot. That ties a career high for her.
Yeah, so 9.9, 9.85 split. Got to say, I probably was with the 9.9 judge on that one, but.
Do you have any thoughts on where the extra deduction might have come?
I think probably it was she didn't get quite as much height as I would have liked to see right off the table. And that is being picky, but that's the judge's job.
So here's Graver exhibitioning for UNH on the bars. Saw her start off with that chapash.
Yeah, nice routine. You know, just these leg separations are really a big focal point. Of course, the handstands, we often think about that, but things like on catching the bail handstand, things like that. It's just little things to clean up in there, but nice work, nice bar release work.
Speaking of nice work, great way for UNH to finish after they had the fall in the 4 spot. JC Whitehead and Kylie Gorgani both wrapping up with 9.85s.
Huge, yeah.
They have 3 9.85s in that bar lineup. Brown, Whitehead, and Gorgani. And 4 of the 5 scores counted will be 9.8 or better.
And this is the vault I was talking about earlier. Olivia Van Horn here. Looks like she's going to try and twist the pike. Just low on landing. You know, I think I have seen her do that a bit better, and I think that's what, when we were talking to Coach Becker, what she just wanted to get her confidence up a little bit more. So we'll take another look here on replay. You can see her kind of going through her cues there. Such a difficult vault. This is a 10-0 start right here. And yeah, just crunched, I think, a bit on the table. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's the block. That's what sets you up for success for the rest of the vault.
All right, Sierra Bauman, this is an interesting routine. This connection gets her 4/10 bonus.
Yeah, labored on that handstand into the Jaeger, but does make that connection to the low bar.
She'll finish with a double tuck.
Good fight from her because she was really off on that initial handstand into the Jaeger, and would have been very easy for her just to, you know, take a fall, but really resumed the rhythm nicely in that routine.
So UNH is going to take the lead into the second rotation, and they do so matching their second-best bar score of the year. 49-1 is the exact score they had in their last meet on Sunday. They do it with 3 9.85s by Kennedy Brown, JC Whitehead, and plus a 9.8 by Leah Moreno. And as for Penn, they will wrap up the vault with a 48.925, led by Kirsten Belkoff and her 9.875. So we'll come back with the second rotation momentarily. UNH will head over to the vault, and Penn on the bars when we come back from the Palestra in Philadelphia. Back at the Palestra in Philadelphia, a narrow edge for UNH over Penn after one rotation. UNH on bars of 49-1, tying their second best score of the season on that event, and Penn just shy of that 49, 48.925 on vaults. So now Penn goes over to bars, and UNH to vault. Let's take a look at the scores from the first rotation. UNH on bars with 3 9.85s. Kennedy Brown, JC Whitehead, and Kylie Gorgani. Leah Moreno with a 9.8 as well, and the other counted scores, Summer Simpkins with a 9.75. Penn led on vault by Kirsten Belkoff, 9.875. Ariana Agarwala had a 9.8. There's the UNH scores on bars. See
Yeah,
how they
really. I
wrapped
mean,
up.
Kylie Gorgani did not quite stick her dismount, but just really textbook technique, legs together on everything, all of those little details. She does such a wonderful job.
And see how they wrapped up, too, with the
Yeah.
twin 9.85s after Bollier's fall.
Yeah.
Take a look at Penn on vault and their scores from the first rotation.
And Kirsten Belkoff, really the highlight of the Penn rotation for me, with that really difficult stuck Yurchenko half. Really difficult because of that blind landing, and got rewarded for it 9.875, so really nice to see there as well.
She led with that 9.875. Ariana Agarwala a 9.8. Rose DeBarberi a 9.775. Skylar Kuriko in her return to the lineup with a 9.75, and Marissa Lassiter, the other counted score, 9.725. So Penn to bars and UNH to vault. Let's start with talking about UNH on vault. They're going to do almost all Yurchenko fulls, but Kylie Gorgani training a 1.5.
Yeah, and you know, when we talked to Coach Brooke-Ayat about that, she said, you know, we're going to see how it goes. We really need that consistency in the lineup, but is something that we might see, for example, at a conference championship, or, you know, if she qualifies to regionals. Speaking of regionals, you know, I think both of these teams are currently on the outside looking in. While it is mathematically possible that they could qualify, I think unlikely that they could qualify, but still there is the opportunity for individuals to qualify to NCAA regionals. So Kylie Gorgani, certainly an athlete, I think, that could do that.
And she'll be in the anchor spot on vault for UNH.
And looking at Kennedy Brown there, just some replays from the first rotation here, and Campbell Marr, this full on. Again, I've seen her better control that landing, but really cool vault.
This was Ariana Agarwala. She had the leading score of 9.8, or the second score of 9.8. Belkoff led at 9.875.
And that full turn into the double back, popular combination, because if you do not do there's an up to the level requirement. If you do not do a dismount, you have to connect it in combination, so that full pirouette into double back, a common combination.
We're getting a look at Marissa Lassiter warming up on bars. Penn will be on bars when we come back, and UNH on vault. Take a quick break, come right back to the Palestra in Philadelphia. Back at the Palestra, here's Larissa Biet about set to lead off on vault for UNH. They have a narrow lead after one rotation against Penn.
And doing this popular full twisting Yurchenko. Comes in short there. That's that low chest position I was talking about. Again, didn't quite get the block that she needed off the table to get that rotation around.
She was a late lineup sub-in. Serena Mullen originally listed in the leadoff, and Biet was the first alternate, so being pressed into competition action to lead off for UNH on vault. Sarah Kenefick will lead off on bars for Penn. An apparatus for them. They've been consistently in the mid-48s. They really peaked their last time they faced UNH, 49.075, their best score this year.
You see her just giving herself some mental cues there, or some verbal cues as well. I like to talk to myself before a routine when I was a gymnast as well, so I feel that.
Need something for a mental reset. This is a fun routine, too. She will finish off with a double twist, which is a really hard dismount. Challenging angle.
Yeah, and Tkachev there, I would have liked to see more height. Some leg separation in that pack salto as well, but she's going for a lot of difficulty here. And here's that dismount you talked about, the full turn into the double twist. So cool, she nailed that landing. Old school dismount, that double twist, we don't see that very often.
Yeah, not many are doing a double twist off bars, and you mentioned the connection earlier in the routine, a D plus D skill connection early on, so it's a tough routine from start to finish.
Yeah. Yeah, just some form breaks throughout that routine, but the dismount was really a highlight for me.
Maya McDonald will be in the number 2 spot on vault for UNH.
And she does a Yurchenko half. So we'll see if, like Belkov, she can get the stick. Oh, she missed her block. She was crunched on the table, and by that I mean she had bent elbows and so wasn't able to get that push off the table that she really needed.
And remember, she's coming off shoulder surgery from the off season as well. Might that affect you in your approach and your block off?
You know, I think that is one of the things in terms of getting that. The power there does really come from your shoulders. So we're moving to bars now.
Marissa Lassiter in the 2 spot for Penn.
And I talked about her power on vault, and the interesting thing is you can really see that on bars as well. Bars, not the event that we typically think about folks showcasing their power, but I like the big release moves. I like how she works bars.
Looks like we've got that first score in on bars as well for Penn. 9-7 appears to be the score for Sarah Kenefick. Here's Marissa Lassiter.
Nice first handstand. Thought she would have caught a little bit close on that Jaeger, but keeps moving, no problem. And gearing up, full twisting, double back. Doesn't quite stick it, but again, really nice dynamics in that dismount.
You can see, I think, early on through 2 events for her, why Kirsten Becker's so high on her.
Yeah, she's got really great qualities. Love the power that she brings to this team.
2 scores in on vault for UNH. Here is Robin Kelly.
And a nice rebound for them. She does land kind of stutter step on those lines. Those lines new this year in NCAA gymnastics. And those are there for guidance. The way that the rule is written is those are there to guide the judges on whether the athlete was square on the table. There are not specific deduction amounts for those lines like there are on floor. And if the NCAA technical committee is listening, I think there should be. If we're going to have the lines, we should assign value to when somebody steps out, but they have not done that yet. So it's basically at the judge's discretion. That being said, she got nice dynamics in that vault, good height off the table.
Is that, in your view, from the committee, kind of a baby steps maneuver to add the lines but not have a hard and fast rule?
Yeah, probably, because I think that there have been some controversies over stuck vaults that were, for example, over to the side, and that is an element of lack of control, even if you are perfect on landing. And I would say, in general, I would like to see judges taking more deductions, for example, in pre-flight, focusing on those other elements of the vault besides just did you stick the landing. So probably an effort in that. We'll watch the space if they, make that, if they specify that more in future.
Before Kristen Kuhn goes on bars for Penn, quick score update and correction. Sarah Kenefick, a 9.55. And the scores in thus far for UNH on vault. They've got a little bit of bounce back work to do. 9.425 for Maya McDonald and a 9.4 from Larissa Biette. So
yeah,
a lot of work to do in the last 4 spots, or I guess the last 3 spots now in the lineup after Robin Kelly just went into 3.
Yeah, as we discussed, really just not getting when you're crunched on the table, you don't get that block, you really can't get those twisting vaults around. And so kind of they tend to, even if you keep them to your feet, they tend to kind of go in that 9.5-ish range.
And not to get ahead of ourselves too much, but based on the early scores, it probably means we're less likely to see Kylie Gorgani break out that 1.5 today.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to do it today. I think that is more something that's likely in the Eagle Championships or regionals towards the end of the season.
And Kristen Kuhn about ready to go for Penn on bars. Really unique combo to start off. Tkachev to the Pack Salto.
Yeah, and one of the things I think we're going to look for here is if she can keep her legs together on the Pack Salto, because it's really tricky when you're connecting these 2 elements. You've just caught hopefully caught the Tkachev, and you're in transition. So hard to keep those legs together. So let's see if she can do that here.
That's going to be her very first connection in this routine.
And here she goes. That's the Tkachev, clean leg separation on that back salto. But as you mentioned, difficult combination, and rocks that handstand on the low bar. Maybe even arched it a little bit.
She'll finish with a full in.
Nice technique on that full in. I think one of her teammates just smacked her in the face, congratulating her. Classic gymnastics move there. But yeah, she just has really nice dynamics. I would have liked to see her sink her heels in a little bit on that stick, but beautiful in the air.
And that'll set up for Alyssa Bollier on vault.
And just came in short on that, has to take that hop forward. The hops forward are, deductions are taken more severely than, for example, a hop or step back when they are out of the Yurchenko full, because basically what that's saying is you've under-rotated the vault. So obviously judges would prefer to see that you're fully rotating the vault and maybe have a little bit of additional power. But she did do a good job to minimize that deduction and kind of take that small hop forward.
Quick score update, by the way. Marissa Lassiter with a 9-7 on bars for Penn, so 2 scores in for them. Kenefick had a 9.55, Sarah Kenefick that is. 3 scores in on vault for UNH. Marissa Biette with a 9.4, Maya McDonald 9.425, Robin Kelly with a 9.7. Carly Oniki getting ready for Penn. She's in the 4 spot for the Quakers.
Pretty first handstand, does it, the Tkachev as well. Didn't get a lot of turnover in that Tkachev. Didn't quite get her hips around quick enough, and I think that's what caused the fall there.
Let's see how she bounces back from that. Just gonna re-chalk and get back to it. Oniki, a freshman from Pleasanton, California. Competed 2 events for Penn so far this year. Bars has been the better of the 2 for her.
I'm getting back on track here. Nice dynamics in that double layout. Too bad about that Tkachev, as I said, just didn't get the height and the turnover that she needed, but she is very capable on bars.
And coming off of a good score for Penn in the 3 spot, Kristen Kuhn with a 9.875 that currently leads the pack in bars, besting the trio of 9.85s by UNH. Gracie Mowers.
A nice Yurchenko half. Didn't quite get the distance that we saw from Belkov that got that 9.875 from Penn, but really nailed that landing. And that's one that they needed. Yeah, great air awareness, knew exactly where she was.
It's been a shaky vault rotation for UNH. Couple scores under 9.5. Robin Kelly then bouncing back with a 9.7. Alyssa Bollier gets a 9.625. This will be Skylar Kuriko for Penn on bars. Coming back in the lineup today on both vault and bars. She was an all-arounder before the ankle roll, and I'm sure Penn wants to get her back there, but taking it easy, bringing her back on 2 events.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. You know, they do have, there's still a couple of weeks left in season, and then they've got GECs. That is their big goal for the season, is GECs. And I gotta say, talking to Coach Becker, she is very honest about, very ambitious about, she wants Penn to qualify 2 regionals as a team. And if they did that, I believe they would be the first Ivy League team to ever do it. It's not going to happen this year, but they are on an upward trajectory, and I love the ambition.
Speaking of ambition, Skylar Kuriko starting off with a ray in this routine.
Nice job there. Short on that handstand out of it.
Full into finish.
Doesn't yet, ended with that chest down and had some piked position through some of her handstands and giants, but great ray. That was the highlight of the routine for me, that toe on Tkachev.
That's an ease skill and a really tough way to start off. Kylie Gorgani, remember she's trained the 1.5, likely to see the full here.
And you can see she's just got power to spare there. Really nice job of getting that height, that flare out, the nice body position in the air. So just one of those, I think one of the challenges when you are training the 1.5 and you complete the full is that you're used to rotating more, and so you're not necessarily as able to stick the full. You see that she takes that big bounding step back, but gorgeous in the air.
We do have a score update for UNH on vault as well. Gracie Mowers with a 9.825. So that's just shy of Kirsten Belkoff's 9.875 that currently leads the pack on vault. We'll see what Kylie Gorgani gets for that full. Carly Oniki 8.95. Penn will want to drop that score on bars, which means they'll be counting Sarah Kenefic's 9.55. And Kaylee Marr will wrap up on bars for Penn. She had a 9.85 at the Ivy Classic this past week.
And this is the person you want in your anchor position. You know, if I were Coach Becker, I would want to have her here. You know, she's so pretty. You're going to show off the similar line on beam and bars, really pretty toe point, really nice handstand work.
She was very close to winning the Ivy title on bars, had it locked up until Reagan Walker of Yale in the last rotation through a 9.95.
Yeah, and Reagan Walker, program record at Yale, absolute phenomenal bar worker. But so is Marr.
Yeah, she has a 9.925 as her career high.
Pretty first handstand. That's what I mean. The lines. Let's see if she can keep her legs together. Just a little separation. And I have seen her hit that bail to handstand cleaner. Gearing up for her double layout here. I thought she swung it out a little bit, but she's so experienced, she could really just control that landing.
And that's an upgrade for her. She had been dismounting with a double back, trained really hard, Kirsten Becker said, to get to that double back.
Yeah.
Here's another look.
And yeah, she did. Now that I see on replay, I was right. She did blink. She this time release a little bit, but as I mentioned, I love to see that when athletes can react in real time. She was able to get that second flip around, so no problem there.
There's a lot of changes in that routine, upgrading from the double back to the double layout. That Maloney to overshoot, something she worked on during the COVID year as well. Now anchoring for Penn on bars. We do have all the scores in besides Mars for Penn on bars. 9.725 is what Skylar Kuriko has received. And on vault, just waiting on the score for Kylie Gorgani, and she gets a 9.675. Sarah Gazdak is going to exhibition for Penn on bars. Listed as the first exhibition. We may see Emma Davies as well. Gazdak, a sophomore. Working on a new combo in this routine too. She'll start off with Tkachev to an immediate overshoot, something she's been working on.
And that's another common way. We talked about that Maloney to bail handstand, but doing a single bar, whether it's Tkachev or Jaeger, the most common ones, to some type of overshoot, another common way to build bonus.
What are you looking for in an exhibition this late in the season from somebody pretty young in this lineup, a sophomore trying to maybe crack the lineup for next season?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, as we get started here, let's check out this combo. The nice job there. Really kept her legs together smoothly through that overshoot. And the toe on, full off on that handstand, but nice routine. She's stoked about that one. And yeah, as we were saying, just, probably unlikely she's going to break the lineup at this point in the season, but good for them to build that depth for next season.
That's the type of clean exhibition you're looking for at this stage.
Exactly, yeah. And then they've got the stick Ivy, of course, because they are part of the Ivy League. So the stick paraphernalia, obviously so important in NCAA gymnastics.
UNH had the chain, and Penn's got the Ivy.
Double layout there, really nice way to cap off their scoring rotation.
We'll wait to see if Emma Davies is going to exhibition on bars for Penn. We're given to understand that there will be no exhibitions on vault for UNH, which seems pretty clear since they're warming up already on floor. That's where they'll go for the next rotation. And Emma Davies will exhibition for Penn on bars. She was just announced. Score in for McKaylee Marr, 9.825. So thus far, we've got our event title winners through the first two rotations. Kristen Kuhn wins on bars for Penn, besting the trio of 9.85s we saw from UNH. And Kirsten Belkoff wins on vault for Penn, as we get a look at Emma Davies exhibitioning on bars. Boy, that's tough.
Yeah, the timing of the release and catch, so important, and I think she just let go a little bit early there.
The good news, it's an exhibition, so something to work on. What are these conversations like after a fall, trying to clean things up?
Yeah, I think that it depends on the situation. Sometimes if you have like an awkward fall, the coaches are just checking, like, do you want to continue? Because if not, it's just an exhibition. It's not going to affect the team score, just move on. And now just kind of checking with her. But otherwise, just giving cues like, all right, you got this. Kind of restart the routine. You want to finish strong. And it looked like she was fine on that. So I think she's going to, just continue. Probably going to repeat, Off on that handstand. Oh, gosh. So we'll see what she does here. But she was off from that handstand when she did the half pirouette into bars. Is one of those events where the skills can really cascade into one another. So if you're off on one skill, it really affects the trajectory of the next skill.
It's like a rhythm event,
exactly,
might say. Sure.
Exactly. Because unlike beam or even floor, you don't have those moments where you're just like, okay, pause before you do the next skill. Every skill is building on something else in the routine. And now, good decision. They're just deciding not to repeat it again. Just going to try and get her confidence back up on this dismount. Full pirouette into the double back. Good for her. Hey, sticks the landing.
So Emma Davies bouncing back in the last exhibition for Penn. And that takes us through two rotations at the Palestra, with Penn now jumping out in front, 97-6. The Quakers score. UNH at a 97-3-5. We will head to the third rotation when we return. UNH on floor, Penn to beam when we come back from the Palestra. Here's a look at what happened in rotation number 2 with Penn on bars and UNH on vault.
Yeah, and seeing that full pirouette into the double back dismount there. And here's that huge full twisting double back for Marissa Laster there. Taking a look at some of the vaults from New Hampshire, they did not get Kylie Gorgani a highlight here. Look at how high she gets in the air. That scoot back, but great dynamics. And taking a look here at McKaylee Marr, that double layout, really pretty. And of course, that full pirouette into the double back, I do think that affected some of the Penn gymnastics lineup. Didn't quite finish that pirouette in handstand.
And so through 2 rotations, Penn with the lead, 97-6 for the Quakers, 97-3-5 for UNH. We've got our vault event title to Kirsten Belkoff of Penn, 9.875. Kristen Kuhn winning the event title on bars, 9.875. Get a look at the Quakers, who are well represented today in the last home meets for Penn at the Palestra this year. They will go to Beam, where they have been quite good this year. Set the program record on this event at Temple just a couple meets ago, 49.475. McKaylee Marr and her sister Campbell, 2 to watch on that event.
Yeah, so pretty on this event that it is their highest ranking event as well, ranked 40th in the country. They have had some ups and downs this season, but they're a really pretty artistic team on this event. And we're really going to be in, this is going to be so much fun because New Hampshire is a great artistic team on floor as well. So we're going to be seeing some of those features that I really love about college gymnastics.
First, here's a look at our scores from the second rotation. Penn on bars, you see led by that 9.875 in the number 3 spot by Kristen Kuhn. Again, she wins the bar event title, just besting the trio of UNH 9.85 scores from the first rotation. Penn with an overall bar score of 48.675.
Yeah, and I think, solid rotation for them. As I mentioned, just some areas within there, the handstands on those full pirouette to double back connections, those can really get you. And so really difficult to hit that. And I think just a couple other areas like that they struggled.
It was a bit of a struggle for UNH on vault, too. You see how they started with 2 scores under 9.5. What did you think of how they bounced back?
Yeah, they have some really high scoring potential more towards the end of the lineup. And so good to see them get some of those, Kylie Gorgani and other gymnasts getting some of those, the better dynamics in the vaults. But they are going to an event that can be really strong for them, which is floor. Floor is a challenging event for New Hampshire because they have had some inconsistency this year, but they're capable of being really beautiful here.
Yeah, at their best, you could maybe argue that floor is their best event.
Right. Yeah. Traditionally, they've also really excelled on beam. Has been a challenge this year, but talk to Lindsay Bracayat about how she kind of reset the tone with the team. They took their beam into one of their arenas to practice on, to do some pressure sets. They hit a 49 next week, so really going to turn that momentum. So we'll see how they do here.
Yeah, if you're looking at the overall scores, UNH is behind against Penn. Again, 97-6 for Penn, 97-3-5 for UNH. But the Wildcats wrap up on arguably their 2 best events. They are very artistic on floor. This is going to be a fun watch.
Yeah, I really enjoy watching them on floor. And I have to say, I think that only 3/10 of the floor score is allotted to artistry. And in my opinion, it should be higher than that. The name of the discipline is artistic gymnastics. And I think we should be, there's not a lot of teams that are committing to it like New Hampshire is. So I'm excited to see that.
So we'll see New Hampshire's artistry on floor and Penn on beam when we come back. Third rotation coming up from Philadelphia. On to the third rotation from the Palestra with Penn leading UNH. It's the Quakers with a now updated score, 97-8. So it looks like we had a slight score change, and UNH at 97-3-5. We'll get you where that score change came as soon as we can. But starting off with Penn on beam, one of what's been their better events this year. Set the program beam record against Temple just a few meets ago, and they'll lead things off with Kirsten Belkoff.
And although last time Penn competed at home, they did struggle on beam and had to count a couple falls. So this is going to be an important event for them. You know, I really like to watch them on beam. Really pretty lines, split positions throughout this rotation. And Kirsten Belkoff, who we're going to look at here, just waiting for the judge to salute, you know, she does a tricky combination switch leap to sheep jump. That difficult sheep jump, we're going to look for the release of the head and neck in that jump, and is rated a D element on beam. And Belkoff getting underway here. She's gearing up for this triple series. 2 back handsprings to a layout step out. Super solid on that landing. Some leg separation in that sheep jump, but I love that she goes for that difficult combination. Gearing up for her 1.5 dismount here. See if she can open up for the landing. Wow. That's the college salute, folks. Arches her back really far back, but really nails that landing, and great lead off for Penn.
Yeah, that is a phenomenal way to start for the Quakers. And it'll move to the floor for UNH. Sierra Bauman will lead off. By the way, the score change for Penn, and after this replay on Belkoff's dismount, we'll get it to you.
Yeah, just knew she wasn't there. I would like to see her get a little bit more height off the beam, but really great air awareness.
So it looks like the only score change, Skylar Kuriko on vault for Penn, now a 9.75. Here's Sierra Bauman on floor.
Oh, good fight there on that 2.5. Oh gosh. Was short on that 1.5 and tricky to get that second flip around. She just didn't get the rise out that she needed to. Pretty performance though, but and the opening 2.5 was nice, though she seemed to have a bit of a misstep on the landing. So gonna be a challenge for New Hampshire, but they've got some great athletes coming up.
Do you think it was trouble finding the landing on that first pass and under rotating on the last?
So I'm not exactly sure what happened on the first. She might have been a little under rotated coming in.
Now a look at Alyssa Rosen on beam for Penn.
And another rock solid landing on that back handspring layout step out. Hangs on to that punch front, so difficult. That's an E-rated skill. And this jump is really difficult. That straddle half manages it well. Really tricky, those jumps that start facing sideways on the beam.
She'll finish off with a full tuck.
Little hop on landing, but really clean throughout that set.
So Gracie Mowers will be next on floor for UNH. Here's another look at the way Alyssa Rosen closed out beam. Well, this is fun. Gracie Mowers, whose mom was a UNH gymnast, helped her choreograph her routine last year and doing it again this year with a little assist from Kennedy Brown, her teammate helping with the choreo as well.
Yeah, really fun. I love when athletes get involved. There's several college athletes in the country that are involved in their own choreography, and that's always fun to see. Looks like we might have a judges conference here on floor.
Meanwhile, we do have a score in for Kirsten Belkoff, 9.825 in the leadoff for Penn on beam. Curious as to what this could be about from that first performance by Sierra Bauman, where there was not a fall on either the first pass or the last pass, but a little bit of a stumble.
She would have gotten that counted as a fall. I think coming out, I think probably what they're debating is, did she get that front tuck around? That's the challenge, is when an athlete doesn't fully put it to their feet, but gets it around and then kind of sits it down like she did. That's what I would guess the issue is about. You see one judge with a 9.3 start value, another judge with a 9.7 start value. Those scores shouldn't be that far apart. I mean, hopefully they will drop that score anyway, but they do have to calculate it, obviously, because you don't know what else is going to happen in the lineup.
Yeah, materially it may not affect much of anything, but it's going to be an 8-5 for Bauman in leadoff. And now here's Gracie Mowers with that routine choreographed by her mom.
Just a little shy of rotation on that double pike, but covers it nicely.
She'll go punch front, layout, front full.
Nice control there. Secure in the landing of that double back. And this is what I mean about artistry. That is what artistry is. Artistry is not just smiling on floor. Artistry is not pose, pose, pose. Artistry is the connection that you have with the music, the way that you express yourself. Everybody in this arena couldn't take their eyes off her, and I love that performance.
Such a wonderful display of dancing combined with gymnastics. A lot of music switches there.
Yeah.
She's a really fun dancer. Last year, her routine started with the chicken dance.
Yeah, right.
A lot more music switches today as well. This is a lot of fun. Here is Kristen Kuhn on beam for Penn.
And starts off with that tricky wolf turn. Gets that around, no problem. And was patient on that layout step out because her hips were a little bit off, but she's experienced. She is a great beam worker, so just corrected it. Love to see that. And pretty positions in that switch leap straddle half. She is on. Love this show of flexibility. One of those athletes doing the back handspring gainer full. Great set. Besides the back handspring layout step out, she had a little correction, but just so confident and crisp through that beam routine.
Now, her career high on this is 9.85. That was a really clean routine. Does she challenge to break that here?
Yeah, I think we're going to see something about that. I will say the judges have a better angle on the split positions than I do. So that's always something that could be more, but I think that that's going to be in that range.
Robin Kelly on floor. One of the best on this event for UNH. Career high 9.925.
And does well to hold on, not go out of bounds on that double pike. Nice high 1.5.
Last pass, round off, back handspring, double pike.
Double tuck, but really nicely controlled there. The double pike she did at the beginning had that bounding step back, but she did so well to keep that in bounds and really kept that in. But the double back there, really nice. Just so difficult to end with those double saltos.
So that'll bring up Alicia Werlin on beam for Penn in the number 4 spot. 3 scores in for the Quakers thus far. Belkoff and Kuhn both with 9.825s. And Alyssa Rosen with a 9.75. Here's Werlin.
Clean in that aerial. Shy on that second split element, that split jump half. Gearing up for her series here. Back handspring layout, step out. We're seeing some, and oh, just little hesitation on landing. But nice series overall in this Penn lineup. Hangs on to that stick. Really nice work.
Penn is setting up with the start of this third rotation in a very similar spot to when they set that program record on beam? It's going to depend on the way they close it with the Mars sisters.
And, you know, they are, as you said, these scores are, you know, building in these 9-8 ranges, and the back end of this Penn lineup very capable of breaking into the 9-9 range on beam.
Kennedy Brown on floor for UNH.
And I just absolutely love to watch her on floor. Wow. Stuck cold, that 1.5 to front full.
You can tell who on the team has the dance background.
Yeah.
She does help her teammates with their choreography as well.
Really clean 1.5 there. Oh my gosh, I love it. And that 1.5 to front full, you are allowed to take a controlled lunge out of the passes without deduction, but when you stick it cold, it's just like an extra little flex. Just like, I don't even need that. I don't need this step. I could just stick it cold. It's amazing. And shout out to Amanda Fillard, who is the assistant coach at New Hampshire, former gymnast at NC State, and does their choreography on floor.
So this will set up the part of the beam lineup for Penn that is crucial. The Mars sisters, Campbell first, and then McKaylee to wrap it up. Campbell, a junior, she and McKaylee on the day when Penn set the new program record, they hit back-to-back 9.95s.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to share the school record with your sister. And they have very similar styles on beam. So crisp and nice toe point maintained throughout that layout step out. Look at the stretch in that switch split to straddle quarter. Just correct that. It's that seamless correction, though. Even when she's a little bit off, you can expect them to be perfect all the time, but just really works to correct that. Oh gosh, now I jinxed her. The full turn, that'll get you.
Only an A skill, but it is so tough.
And one that a lot of college gymnasts will tell you is challenging. Sticks that landing. You know, just had that correction on the full turn, unfortunately, in the aerial. So have seen her, you know, not going to get in that 9.9 range, but, you know, great fight throughout that routine.
But where Penn is looking right now, 3 of their 4 scores are 9.8 or better. Alicia Werland with a 9.8. Now Kylie Gorgani in the 5 spot on floor for New Hampshire. She's coming off a career high Sunday, 9.875.
Drills that double pike.
That is such a satisfying landing.
And I'm a sucker for a dramatic floor routine, so I love this.
There's a good mix of drama and bounce in these routines.
Didn't quite get that full around. Gorgeous work. Best controlled tumbling we've seen yet. Every single tumbling pass just drilled. What you want to look for on floor to, again, distinguish the good from the great is having, if you're tumbling backward, you have your foot anchored and you take a step back. You're tumbling forward, you have it anchored, you take a step forward, and to really make sure that that anchored foot does not move. No sliding, and she did a really great job of that, as well as her chest position on landing being really upright.
So that will bring up McKaylee Marsh. She is going to anchor on beam for Penn. As we mentioned, not only does she share the program record with her sister Campbell, 995, McKaylee has 3 of Penn's top 5 all-time beam scores. And when she hit her first 995 last year, it was the first such score for a Quaker gymnast in over 20 years.
And she is using her extra year of eligibility to do a master's degree at the University of Michigan, and talked to the coaching staff. The Ivy League does not allow you to take that COVID year, so they really encouraged her to go into the portal, see her options, and I really think it says a lot about the state of Penn gymnastics that she's moving to Michigan, one of the powerhouses in college gymnastics right now. And they could really use this beam routine in their lineup this season. Pretty extension through that handspring layout, step out. Oh gosh. The hitch kick, I would have to see it on a replay. I don't know if her hips got off in the hitch kick or in the air on her aerial, but was pretty far off when she landed, and once your hips aren't square on the beam, so hard to save.
Well, the good news for Penn is that despite a rare fall from McKaylee Marr, the rest of their scores in this rotation look quite good. 3 above 9.8.
Yeah. Yeah, solid rotation for them despite that fall. Recovers well, sticks that landing. She's not going to be happy with that one, but you know, just it happens. It happens to the best of them. You know, I always say it's just a fall. It's, you know, nothing that is, she's hit a billion beautiful beam routines. So, you know, this is her dismount, just absolute great air awareness on that. But yeah, that is the score that Penn will drop.
Now Alyssa Bollier in the anchor spot for UNH on floor. Again, she is the only all-arounder competing today for either team. This first pass closes with a double tuck. Lindsey Bruck-Ayat could not say enough good things about this.
And that's a little lack of control in that lunge that I was talking about earlier, but nice height. Good control in that front layout, front full. Maybe just a little low chest position on that Rudy, but recovers or minimizes the deduction out of it, and really pretty routine.
So Penn is going to exhibition Isabella Garrett on beam. Their beam score 48.9.
Yeah, so still a very solid beam score. You know, could have picked up a 10th, but as you mentioned, when the rest of the lineup hits, you know, the differential's only, you know, a 10th and a half maximum.
So here's Isabella Garrett.
This is cool. This handstand step down to layout, step out, layout, step out. Any old school gym nerds that remember Morgan Lane used to do a similar mount for North Carolina. Just short on that first split element. And cool just to see that cartwheel in there. Nice dismount. A couple of, errors in split position and details like that, but I love her mount.
And overall, I mean, between the mount and the cartwheel, some different things you're not used to seeing so much on beat.
And that's my favorite. I really like to see variety.
Alyssa Worthington is now going to exhibition for UNH on floor.
And she's really best known for her beam work, but shows some of those similar pretty lines here as well. Great control. A little bit of form issues in that last pass, but one of those other really pretty artistic routines for New Hampshire.
And for New Hampshire as a team, by the way, after what was a tough second rotation for them, what they've done on floor, combined with some stumbles by Penn on beam, UNH has gotten to within a 10th heading into the fourth rotation.
Yeah, really, really strong performance from them overall in floor, especially after that adversity in the leadoff spot.
Now Sarah Kenefick to exhibition on beam for Penn.
Nice clean series. Good to see that after that initial wobble. Nice dismount. Just, that wobble on the full turn. It's out to get him tonight. I fell on a full turn a lot of times, so I know how hard it is. But, fought through that routine.
So one more exhibition on floor for UNH, and this was a late addition to the exhibitions. First, here's another look at, looks like McKaylee Mars dismount. She gets a 9:05. Riley Himes, a late addition as the second exhibition on floor for UNH.
really clean double back there to end. Really good to see New Hampshire getting through that rotation, you know, after that fall in the leadoff spot, coming back so strong and showing the depth they have.
Yeah, Sierra Bellman had the fall in the leadoff spot, but they do get a couple of 9/8 toward the end of that lineup, and they pull within a tenth of Penn heading into the fourth and final rotation. It will be the Quakers on floor, UNH to close on beam when we come back from Philadelphia. The narrow edge over UNH heading into the fourth and final rotation. The Quakers on beam with a 48-9 despite a fall in the anchor spot. They get a score of 9.825 from Kirsten Belkoff to lead the pack. She's already won the vault event title with a 9.875. And UNH, despite a fall in their leadoff spot, fighting for a 48-725 to keep this meet very close, razor thin, heading to the fourth and final rotation. The Quakers will head to floor with an overall score so far of 146.7, and UNH heading to beam with a 146.075. Both teams really battling through that third rotation. Neither had to count a fall, but both with a fall at one point in their lineup. And fighting back for a respectable third rotation as we get ready to wrap it up. Penn heading to floor. And again, UNH to beam. I'm Major Luftglass alongside Christina Chauvenet from the Palestra. Heading into this fourth rotation, Christina, let's start with UNH on beam. They're coming off of a pretty good score last time. It was their second best score of the season. They swept their podium finishes, 49.225, the score for the Wildcats on beam last time.
Yeah, and you know, just we'll update the scores for you there on beam, but we, you know, last week, I think, you know, if they could sign on the dotted line for that score right now, they would. And it's interesting because New Hampshire has been known as a beam team for some time. And when we talked to Coach Brooke Ayotte, she just said, you know, they were putting a lot of pressure on themselves. We just needed them to, like, you know, just to do normal, like chill, and just wanted to kind of reset. They did reset. They've gotten a couple of those scores that we know that they are capable of. Some absolutely beautiful beam workers in this lineup.
Yeah, since they had the little competition, mock competition, bringing the beam into one of the small arenas at UNH, they've rattled off 3 straight really solid scores. 2 above 95 and 1 just shy of 2 49 or better,
yes,
and 1 just shy of 49. They had a 48.975, and that's coming off of a pair of scores sub 47.
Yeah, exactly. They had a couple weeks there where pretty much everybody in their lineup fell or had a major mistake. And so, you know, some of the athletes, particularly the back of this lineup, Alyssa Worthington, one of my favorite beam workers to watch in NCAA. Forget the conference.
And then for Penn on floor, they've been kind of consistently this year in the mid-48s. They haven't cracked 49 just yet. What do they need to do to get to that elusive 49 today?
So I think that there's a couple of things. One is going to be those really controlled lunges that we talked about, anchoring that foot, taking the controlled lunge. The other piece is keeping an eye on some of these dance elements. That is a place where they have had deductions before. If you're not hitting 180 degrees in that split, if it's a turning element and you're not getting it all the way around, that's areas where if you're not looking carefully, you don't necessarily notice, but the judges are going pen to paper, or at least they should be.
Here's a look at what Penn did on beam. 48.9 was their score, led by that 9.825 by Kirsten Belkoff. Penn on floor will go with Carly Oniki, Kirsten Belkoff, Alyssa Rosen, Emma Davies, Sarah Kenefick, and Marissa Lassiter. UNH on beam will lead off with Sierra Bellman, then Serena Mullen, Summer Simpkins, Alyssa Bollier, Alyssa Worthington, who you mentioned a moment ago, and then Robin Kelly to wrap it up.
And you can see Sarah Kennefic warming up that really difficult double twist to punch front there.
So UNH on beam and Penn on floor. That's coming up momentarily. We'll be back with the fourth rotation from the Palestra in Philadelphia when we return. It's Penn 146.7, UNH 146.075. Heading to the fourth and final rotation from the Palestra, it's UNH and Penn with primetime gymnastics on ESPN Plus and NBC Sports Philadelphia Plus. Andrew Lefglass alongside Christina Chauvenet. Penn heading to floor, and UNH is going to wrap up on beam. Quakers with a 146.7 thus far, and UNH with a 146.075. Your event title winners and leaders thus far. Kirsten Belkoff won on vault for Penn with a 9.875. She also leads on beam at a 9.825. Kristen Kuhn wins on bars for Penn, 9.875. And Kennedy Brown leads on floor for UNH with a 9.8.
Warm-up period just ended, so we're about to get started here.
UNH is going to lead off on beam with Sierra Bauman, who led off on floor for UNH. This is an opportunity for some redemption for her, right? Because she had the fall to start off UNH's floor lineup.
It's an opportunity and a challenge, right? You know, difficult to come off of that. You can just see Lindsay Burkayat is a big fan of just calming the athletes down beforehand, just, you know, giving them some final cues. And by the way, Burkayat, amazing beam worker in her own right. She performed the Miller. Go back, you can find it on YouTube. There's a couple clips, so would recommend. I asked her if she'd gotten any of her athletes to train it. She says she had a couple play around with it, but it's really hard to do.
So here's Sierra Bauman, who is just coming off of a career high on beam, 9.85 on Sunday. Again, UNH just posted its second best score on this event of the season, 49.225 Sunday.
Just a little slow in that aerial back handspring connection. I think they will still give her that credit, but might take a rhythm deduction. Would have liked to see a bit more height on that cat leap, and she landed the front toss low, but she did a good job of controlling that landing. Difficult. That switch split to sheep jump, nicely done there.
She'll go gainer full off the side.
Wow, sticks the landing. Really good for her to come back from that beam fall. Just a couple of hesitations here and there, but overall, really nice job.
Carly Oniki leads off on floor for Penn. Second team All-Ivy on this event last weekend, 9.75.
Just a little extra power on that double pike, but handles it.
Controlled enough lunge for you there?
Not quite.
She'll go front layout, front full.
Pretty front full. A nice control in that final pass. Really pretty routine.
Couple times in the routine where the lunge was a little bit out of control, but nothing crazy there. Not huge deductions.
And, you know, I think the thing about it is it's how you react to that. It's how you minimize that. It's how you keep, you know, not let those turn into bounding steps, and she did a good job there.
How you sell it to the judges.
Exactly, exactly.
Serena Mullen will be next for UNH on beam. Waiting on the score from Sierra Bauman. Mullen, a freshman. She has two different versions of this routine. She had a version with a jump series and a version with a leap series. She's sticking with the leaps instead of the jumps. Lindsey Brocayot says it just feels a little bit better on her body.
Yeah.
Looks like we're getting the score from Carly Oniki's floor routine. 9.575. It appears to be a 9.625 on beam for Sierra Bauman. So here's Serena Mullen.
Too bad. Just off on that layout step out. I think she just got off when she, on the takeoff for her layout step out. Goes for that difficult swish half, and I think she was a bit shy on that as well, maybe still rattled from that fall.
Still trying to fight for those 10s just in case UNH has to count that fall.
Well, and you know, it is for that, but it's also for themselves to, you know, continue through that routine and to hit the rest of their routine cleanly.
And put the fall behind you for the rest of the routine.
Exactly. And, you know, good recovery, nice routine for her overall.
All right, so two spots into the lineup for UNH on beam. Sierra Bauman with a 9.625. We'll wait on the score from Serena Mullen. Carly Oniki gets a 9.575 on floor for Penn. And now Kirsten Belkoff. First pass, Rudy to stack jump. Nice and controlled to start. Back 1.5 front layout. And a solid routine from Kirsten Belkoff. Sierra Bauman's score is in on beam, by the way. 9.725 for Bauman. It looked like it was going to be a 9.675 before. It looks like it's been changed to a 9.725. Serena Mullen waiting on her score in the second spot on beam for UNH. Summer Simpkins will be next. Arguably her best event. The sophomore from Audubon, New Jersey. 9.85 is her career high. Starts off with that full turn. Back handspring, back layout, step out. Clean start for Summer Simpkins. Fighting to stay on that side aerial. Dismounts a back handspring, gainer full, off to the side. Fights till the landing. Really narrow margin at the start of this fourth rotation. Penn and UNH within a tenth of each other. Here's another look at Summer Simpkins. Back handspring, gainer full. Feet together on the dismount. Just a little bit of fight for the stick at the end. Serena Mullins score 9.05, so now 2 scores in for UNH. 9.725 for Bauman, 9.05 for Serena Mullin. Penn's only score in thus far is for Carly Oniki, 9.575. And looks like we're getting a little bit of a judging delay ahead of Kirsten Belkoff's score being reported. Belkoff in the 2 spot for Penn on floor. So we'll see what comes of this judges conference. One judge with a 9.65, the other with a 9.35, and some differential in start value too. See one with a 9.7, the other with a 9.9 start value. And some of these judges working 2 meets in one day. Coming over from Temple, they had a quad meet over there and heading across town to Penn for their second meet of the night. That's a lot of work. Alyssa Rosen on floor for Penn. So start off back 1.5, front layout. Her season high a couple of weeks ago, 9.875 at Temple. Closes with the double tuck. And that was a bit of a question mark if she would finish with the double tuck or the double pike. She goes with the double tuck and nails the landing. After Penn has had a couple of, you just say lower scores for them to start on their floor lineup. 9-5-7-5 from Carlioniki, and a 9-5 is the score given to Kirsten Belkoff. So we'll see what Alyssa Rosen gets. Summer Simpkins waiting on her score for UNH on beam. She had a 9-7-2-5. Now Alyssa Bollier in the 4 spot in their lineup. The full turn. She'll go round off, back 1.5. Another look at the landing by Alyssa Bollier. I'm quite pleased with that beam routine. Emma Davey is now in the 4 spot for the Quakers on floor. Had a 9-7-5 on Sunday at the Ivy Classic, 2nd team All-Ivy. Good control on the double pike. Front layout, front full. Always been a very comfortable pass for her. Here's the double tuck. And bouncing to a strong finish for Emma Davies. Well, that's coming off of 3 straight sub-9-7 scores for Penn on floor. Alyssa Rosen's 9-6-7-5 pacing the Quakers on this event thus far. And so a little work to do in this last rotation. We'll see what Emma Davies gets. This is Alyssa Worthington. former beam specialist. Now sometimes will compete in the all-around. This is the most comfortable event for her. Routine's almost the exact same as last year, except for the dismount. Goes gainer pike, changed from a side aerial to layout full, so that's the only difference from last year to this year for Alyssa Worthington. That dismount again. Nice pike position. And so they're heading into their anchor spot. Robin Kelly will anchor for UNH. We'll see what the Quakers can do to respond after that performance by Worthington. Sarah Kennefick in the 5 spot on floor for Penn after Emma Davies threw a 9.825. So that 9.825 by Davies is leading the pack on floor. She is currently the event title holder. Now Sarah Kennefick. She is playing with a new routine today. Playing with a front double to punch front. As opposed to a 2.5 to punch front. And just sat it down. Sometimes playing with new routine elements can be a bit challenging, and so Sarah Kennefick trying to battle back from that. So a rare fall from one of Penn's best on floor. Sarah Kennefick, who has a career high of 9.975 on this event. Quakers are hoping they won't have to count that score. They'll already have to count 2 sub-9.6 scores. Here's Robin Kelly to anchor on beam for UNH. She's at her career high on this event Sunday, 9.95. Coming back from an Achilles injury this year as well, so tough on this event. Back handspring gainer full, and a solid close to the UNH beam lineup from Robin Kelly. After Alyssa Worthington hit a 9.8, which currently leads their beam lineup. Let's see what Robin Kelly gets. She's going to be very pleased with that performance on beam. On a rotation that started so razor thin. Two teams separated by less than a tenth. We've got the score in for Sarah Kennefick. It's the one Penn wants to drop, 8.675. Let's see what they get out of Marissa Lassiter. First team Ivy Classic on this event this past weekend. Had a 8 this past weekend. 9.875 is her season high for the freshman. And Penn will have to count a fall on floor. After Sarah Kennefic fell in the 5 spot, Lassiter does as well in the 6. How does she bounce back? Goes double pike. And hopefully that's a mental reset for her. Great pike position. Solid landing. Okay, so not what Penn wanted to close out their last rotation. We'll see what the scores are that get thrown, and we'll report the final score as soon as we have it officially. But for now, Jenna DiVincenzo will exhibition on beam for UNH. 2 scheduled exhibitions for UNH on beam and 2 for the Quakers on floor as well. Here comes that tough leap series. Switch leap, straddle quarter. Another tough one coming up. Front toss to a split jump. Well connected. Gainer full off to the side. That's a really solid exhibition for Jenna DiVincenzo on beam. If you couldn't tell from the reaction by the Wildcats, the junior from Bethpage, New York, with a terrific routine. Is that gainer full? And the salute. All right, so the first of 2 exhibitions on floor for Penn. This is Bella Garrett. Just a little bit out of control on the landing after that front full. Remember, just an exhibition, but her season and career high, 9.65 on floor. Fought to land that double pike. waiting to get all the scores in. See if they're all officially reported, and indeed they are, so we can give you the final score. Marissa Lassiter closing out on floor for Penn with an 8.925. The Quakers having to count a fall on floor. It's Lassiter's score they'll count, and they'll drop Sarah Kenefick's 8.675. Robin Kelly wraps up the beam lineup for UNH with a 9.85, which is good for the beam event title. So Robin Kelly wins beam at 9.85. Emma Davies takes the floor at 9.825. Kirsten Belkoff winning vault at 9.875. Kristen Kuhn winning bars at 9.875. And Alyssa Bollier is the only competing the all-around today, 38.225. And so we kind of open this up as a very evenly matched meet today. And indeed, that's what we had. It was a margin within a 10th heading into the final rotation, and the final score is within a 10th as well, but it's UNH to come back in the fourth rotation and win it 194.95. The final score for the Wildcats, and Penn just behind it 194.2. Penn's fourth rotation on floor coming back to bite him a little bit, 47.5. And give a lot of credit to UNH and how they came back in the third rotation in particular when they had a fall in the leadoff on floor. And they fought back in the second rotation too. They had two sub-9.5 scores on vault to begin and battled back to a respectable 48.25 score there as well. Zara Gazdak now exhibitioning on floor for the Quakers. She'll go front tuck through. Closing with the double tuck on that first pass. Last pass, round off double pike. And a strong exhibition from Zara Gazdak. May have one more exhibition on beam for UNH. Kylie Gorgani was listed as a second exhibition on beam, so before we go to break, we'll wait to see if we indeed see Gorgani on beam. Jenna DiVincenzo with the beam routine moments ago in the first exhibition spot. Gorgani, of course, sometimes competes in the all-around. It's entirely possible that Lindsey Bruckayat and the Wildcats will just want to sit her out and not have her exhibition on beam, give her body a little bit of a rest. And that looks to be the case. So it does not appear that we'll have an exhibition from Kylie Gorgani on beam, which means we will take our final break. We'll come right back. We'll recap our final scores and event title winners when we return from the Palestra in Philadelphia. You're watching NCAA Gymnastics, where UNH battled back in the last rotation to overtake Penn by less than a 10th. Wildcats 194.95 and Penn 194.2. Penn was leading by less than a 10th heading into the final rotation, and New Hampshire with a brilliant fourth rotation to fight their way after a fall in the second spot on beam to a score of just sub 49, 48.875 in that fourth rotation. Penn fighting through some tough times on floor. They had 2 falls in their last 2 spots in their lineup, and so had to count a fall. They ended up counting Marissa Lassiter's 8.925. Their highest score on the event was a 9.825 from Emma Davies. But credit UNH coming back from a few tough events today. They had a fall on their leadoff on floor. They had 2 sub 9.5 scores in their opening 2 spots on vault, and yet they came back to post 4 scores today that were above 48 and 1 score that was above 49, 49-1 on bars. Ended up being the high point on the day for UNH. There you see what they did on beam in their comeback rotation, led by Robin Kelly, who ended up winning the beam title with that 9.85 in the anchor spot. It was really such a great way for UNH to close out that fourth rotation with Worthington and Kelly posting 9.8 plus scores. And again, after the fall by Serena Mullen in the number 2 spot. Looks like we're about ready for the award ceremony here as well. So we'll give you our event title winners for today after showing you the scores for Penn. There's what we're talking about, the end of that rotation. It started a little shaky with 2 scores, sub 9.6, and then Rosen and Davies with some good bounce back scores, and Penn needing a good score or 2. They would have loved to drop Belkoff's 9.5, but needing at least 1 good score in the back end, and unfortunately had 2 falls from Kennefic and Lassiter to close it out. And so they'll look to clean that up heading into the backstretch of the season with GEC championships looming. Penn trying to defend its GEC title. They do have 2 more meets before then. In fact, UNH and Penn will see each other very shortly on Sunday. They are both part of the quad meet at Maryland. It's UNH and Penn with Brown at UMD on Sunday at 1. And Penn has 1 more after that before GECs. They're at Rutgers next Sunday, and UNH has its senior day next Sunday as well against Brown. Give you the final scores and the event title winners again. UNH victorious today, 194.95 their final score. Penn 194.2. Your event title winners, all around is pretty easy. Alyssa Bollier was the only one competing in the all around. She gets a 38.225. On vault, Penn's Kirsten Belkoff with a 9.875 takes the event title. On bars, Kristen Kuhn, also of Penn, 9.875. She wins bars. Robin Kelly, the lone event title winner, save for Bollier on the all-around, but on beam, it's Kelly with a 9.85 to take the event title, and on floor, Emma Davies with a 9.825 to win the event title for the Quakers. So that will do it from the Palestra in Philadelphia, where UNH edges Penn 194.95 to 194.2. For our wonderful crew today, including and especially my terrific broadcast partner and analyst, Christina Chauvenet. I'm Andrew Luftglass saying so long from the Palestra in Philadelphia. You've been watching a presentation of Penn Athletics and NCAA Gymnastics.